All right, we're going.
Okay.
Yeah, we've been talking about Slanesh, and when we went to Burger King today, the TV said Slanesh's death.
Yeah.
We thought that was synchronistic. That's really synchronistic. It's like not just seeing 11:11.
Both of us heard it. I didn't initially recognize it, but when you said it, I was like, right, I actually did hear something weird about Slanesh. And I saw on another TV when we were at a gas station, Lando Malari from Babylon 5, and he looked like against a black background and was like standing there and then walked backwards with his face towards the screen. That was like really weird. The alien ambassador is aware of us, you know what I mean? Folks around these parts can't remember when a time-traveling senator attended his own birth. And that wasn't synchronicitous.
And I finally committed to my anthro boyfriend. Because it's been longer for him. His time flows faster.
Yeah, he definitely said that he has to make more of an effort towards you, like to send you random good thoughts and like be important to you every day. He really said that he has to make an effort with that.
I have to open up more so I can hear from him, and instead of just asking a yes or no question. And
yeah, and he has to do the work also when his energies are higher. He does it a lot when he's in a sexual mood, and he needs to do it when his energies are higher as well.
Yeah. He showed me his language a little bit. The symbols, it's interesting. They're simple. They're like two vertical lines, a phi symbol, a circle with a vertical line through it. Those are like their characters. It's very simple.
Yeah. One of my friends has a name called Joker. That's Danish. That's not evidently pronounced anywhere near Joker, the actual word. And in it there's a vertical line that is kind of like from one corner to the bottom corner. And I thought that was synchronicitous. My friend started dating him. The male version of Skald. He's really the male version of Skald.
You have the synchronous to my language? My anthro's language?
Yep.
I only can see the first three characters of his name.
From what you described, I instantly get a sense of the word Alex from what you described. But it's not Alex. There are a lot of S's and X's and L's and something like U's or O's in how you pronounce his name, but I can't pronounce it. These recordings have been really funny and really draining in a good way. Like, I really get to use my abilities and train them.
Yeah.
It's been good. Like, initiation doesn't really train me. It gets me more in tune. I feel it for a few days. But this has been really training. This has been really good work.
You've never explored alien society this much, have you?
I have in computer games.
Oh, okay.
But I haven't like talked about the societies with someone this much. Maybe Babylon 5 on occasion, but not really this much. I was talking online about the angelic civilization quite a lot when I was younger, but that's a long time ago, and even that wasn't probably as intensive as this one.
I was surprised at the cadet fighter. That they don't just kick ass. They're just they're not good at grappling and stuff.
Yeah, not good at grappling. He had a kind of a good punch, but it was clear he wasn't like trained to punch well. His arms were like a little floppy when he did the punch. He didn't like rotate his entire body to go with the force of the punch when he did the punch. It was more like a standing up with your legs on your sides punch instead of like a pirouette punch. That's like much more powerful. And he was fairly bad at grappling someone. But we didn't pick a military expert. We picked like a random recruit just joining the army because we wanted to see how good his body actually is. And he could take punches very well. He was very good at taking a punch, so they probably have a higher tolerance for pain, for example. I would estimate.
Well, this wasn't UFC, was it?
Yeah, or Cage, I think. It was against my favorite guide, my spirit guide of the moment, or rather my higher self of the moment, not my spirit guide.
Your higher self won.
Yeah, we actually lost 2-1 because I've had 3 matches, and both of those 2 early matches I could tell which side won. based on knowing how many fights he's had. And looking at the wins and losses, I could tell which one was going to happen based on seeing the records.
So the Anthro actually won.
The Anthro actually won, but when we did actually get into combat, we won. So
you said they didn't bop their gloves or whatever.
Yeah, they decided to keep the match outside of the ring. They didn't want to when you bump the gloves, all the fighting happens in the ring, and when you don't bump your gloves, all actions are allowed, and you basically can target your fans to target their fans. It's like an open fight, and when it's bumping the gloves, it's like a fight between officers in a Roman style army instead of a field fight, and they didn't bump their gloves. It was I wouldn't have bumped the gloves either. I wouldn't have accepted responsibility for the entire alien war into a private sense.
Did you get a sense that you said Anton, or what was his name?
Anton.
He was in the fight.
Yeah, he was in the fight.
Did he know he was fighting an alien in that?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
He was very excited to fight somebody like that. He is fairly spiritually aware. But they both fought honorably. They didn't do dirty tricks. Anton kicked the other guy in the nuts kind of by accident once, but it seemed truly by an accident because he was aiming to kick his legs when I was.
Did it hurt him when he got kicked?
No, he waved his hand for a moment and was grabbed his nuts.
Because a friend of mine kicked the dog really hard in the nuts. The dog just went, "Arr!" And that was it. It didn't even hurt it.
Yeah. You have mean friends kicking dogs in the nuts. You friggin' weirdo. No, but really, he didn't seem hurt really, and the Anton guy was clearly not aiming to hit him in the nuts. He was aiming to hit him in the leg, and assumed that his spiritual energy of nuts region is similar, but it was much bigger, and he accidentally hit him in the nuts. Though I can't be sure about that because Anton is known to hit people in the nuts and do things like punch after the bell has rang out and so on.
They don't wear jock straps or protect cuffs.
They have a protective cup. Otherwise, you would literally die from somebody really hard kicking you in the nuts when he does
you would vomit.
You would die. You'd have a horrible death. Your testicle would end up in your brain. But they have
it still hurts.
Yeah, they have a very good protective cup, but it still hurts.
When I did martial arts, I've done wrestling, I've done football, I've done as a kid. You wouldn't expect that of me, but I did. I just try. I'm like, if that little guy's going to do football, I'm going to do football. Yeah. But in martial arts, I got a trophy because they kept kicking me or hitting me in the face. Yeah. So I got whooped, and I still got a trophy.
Yeah, nice. I practiced ninjutsu for 3 months, and there were some very pretty girls there, and it was very nice. But when I was spinning over somebody's back, he was on his had his back down and had his hands towards the floor as well, and I span on top of his back, where you basically run next to him and put your foot next to his foot and spin on his back and then land on your other foot.
Yeah.
We were doing that exercise. I landed on my ankle and it hurt like hell. And I took a few days off, and then I never came back, and it really pisses me off to this day. I really should have studied that sport. Ninjutsu would have been great for me.
I studied Hoijon Musul, which is a Korean, because it's hard.
Yeah.
And there's Taekwondo they taught there, but I wanted the hard one.
Yeah.
To learn. But one day they had me against a hard Taekwondo kicker, just kicking me in the side over and over again. We kicked each other. I couldn't kick hard.
Yeah.
And he kicked me again. We took turns, and I'm like, I'm not coming back. I'm tired of getting just kicked in the side. It hurts too much.
Yeah, that's basically life in a martial art form for you. I also watched and spiritually manifested myself into the Naruto world. I was Naruto for a very long time, Naruto. And I fell out of that practice as well, and it pisses me off that I keep falling out of military practices, I like being a conscious objector. I'm not going to change into being a military person, but I hate dropping out of military things consistently. It pisses me off. It weakens my immune system.
I really like what you said, that he wants to focus on the higher centers, because I don't want him to be like a pit of depravity.
Yeah. He's kind of becoming that very slowly, but he's noticing it and making an effort to become higher self. There was a guy in Western Australia who won $25 million and tried to invest them smartly and lost them all. And he sued his investment guidance, like counselor or whatever, and won $2 million from the thing. And everybody hoped that he doesn't invest those and just lives his life.
Yeah.
Yeah. I read the things that the guy recommended he invest in, and I was like, how can you give those recommendations?
Penny stocks or what?
Penny stocks I would have given the investment advice to, but he bought things like yachts to give people tours, bought a bar that required like $1 million renovation, tried to run a bar, and like running a bar is hard work and requires an enormous amount of experience. It's not an investment.
Yeah.
It's like a company that you have to literally run. I would have given him the advice of buying with about 2/3 of his money AMD when it's down. You have to literally wait for it to be down. Bitcoin when it's in a slump, silver at any time, and those 3 stocks he should have bought with 2/3 of his money. Then the rest should be split in 2 piles, half and half. One is for living expenses for like the next 20 years or something. That would be like what, 3 million, 4 million for living expenses across a 20-year span. And another one should have been used to find any stock that's family owned, long company, but is at a current experiencing an enormous slump. Like you can tell from some of the stocks that they've been given the company to the family member that actually can't run it. And the whole family is like, we need to kick him out, but we can't do it now, and so on. You can notice that in some stocks. And when they do finally kick the incompetent boss out, the stock's value is gonna like skyrocket. I did a bit like that, and I got like 40% interest on what I did in over a year, so I did like good. And I would have spent the other half on that to have like a versatility in the thing, and maybe buy a small amount of things like gold and oil and so on if they happen to like skyrocket, but that's about it.
If this works out and I do meet this anthro-human and we get together, how much are services like that worth, what you've done?
I don't know, it really depends on you. I'm content with doing just the service of like living here.
Yeah, no, I'm not expecting to pay, but
yeah.
If you were to do that professionally, what would that be worth? Setting up an intergalactic.
It would be worth a lot doing all this work. Like,
this is so specialized because most matchmakers don't set up intergalactic.
Mm-hmm. This is still interstellar, not intergalactic.
Oh.
You're in the same logos, in the same galaxy.
Interstellar, okay.
Yeah, interstellar.
I wouldn't have understood his mind if he was in another logos.
It would be very difficult. It would be like trying to have a romantic relationship with an ant. It would be very difficult. And you have a high affinity for ants, so it would be probably something like along the lines of becoming a bacteria and having a relationship with another bacteria. It would be something along those lines. It would probably after a while be understandable.
If this works out, you could write a book of interstellar matchmaker. That would be cool.
Interstellar matchmaker, yeah, that would definitely be cool.
You just transcribe or just transcribe the, or pay somebody transcribe this for me.
Yeah, that would work. Make like a book called Conversations with an Anthro. That would probably work.
You can make it non-fiction, and furries would buy that.
Yeah.
When I saw his penis, he showed me, I was like, ugh, I gotta look, because it was animal, it wasn't human.
Yeah.
But then I was like, oh, that's cool.
Yeah. It's weird, the alien race Asari, whom I have a kind of a crush on, who are all female. In a lot of the art about them, they have 6 tentacles that look like penises that are about like 2-3 feet long, that are like waving around behind their back, and it looks really weird. They're all female, but I would anticipate those to look like penises in our term, like, you know, the thing you insert genetic materials into others with because they're like a hugely telepathic race.
Did you see that cartoon where somebody was trying to suck on this guy's tentacle, and he's like, that's the potty tentacle?
No. What am I hearing in the background? that sounds once again like artillery. Could be thunder, but that distinctly sounds like artillery again.
We may need a little help tomorrow loading stuff up.
Yeah.
I won't make you load the electronics. I'll help my mom.
Yeah, don't give me anything expensive or something that may be like broken when it falls, because I don't want to take the responsibility for that. When I was a moving company man, I learned not to take responsibility for electronics if you don't have a insurance, because it's gonna be bad. It's better to take care of it. The little round insect is being all over us.
Did you ever pull your back out or moving?
Nah, I haven't done that. I was once in a moving site where they threw out like 20 brand new computers because they were getting even brand newer computers, and I wanted to take them all and put them in my house and do like boink on them.
Yeah.
And I didn't do that, but I really wanted to do that. It was kind of illegal to actually take stuff from the moving site, so I didn't want to do that.
When my dad, oh, were you going to say something?
I was going to say, have you thought about the boink thing more?
If it's like doing the positive service without even trying.
It's like the most positive thing I can actually think of, because it contributes to the scientific development from a civilian side, so that they get like both the results and respect for civilians, you know?
Yeah.
That's what I feel. You were gonna say something about your father? The damn thing went between my bong and my finger and almost dropped it.
Not about my father, I don't think.
Yeah. Mosquito on your leg.
I went slow and I still got it.
Yeah.
It got away because it was so slow. I didn't hit it hard.
Yeah, I noticed that. You didn't kill it. Damn, now it's gonna be on us again soon. That's definitely artillery. Low, steady, single note. Vroom, vroom. It's definitely artillery.
Did we say on record that the Santa was an angel?
Yeah,
by the loosest definition, he's not a...
Yeah, he doesn't, for example, have wings or belong to any kind of angelic hierarchy. Like, he doesn't worship an archangel.
I keep asking him if he's a fallen angel, and he's like, no.
I wouldn't say fallen angel. He seems like somebody that may have been involved in the process of making the DNA for the angel race, you know?
Oh.
But he does seem like he is angelic in a way. When I touch his aura, I get the same kind of, and we talked about this before, and I think on record as well, but I get the same kind of sense I get from one of my friends. I get this sheep with like leathery skin in parts. And it's...
Is that its physical appearance?
It feels like it's some level of the aura.
Oh.
And
so it's fluffy.
Yeah, it's like sheep's fur, like fluff.
Yeah.
And it's very close to his skin, so it's not like a huge ball of fur on him. And there are distinctly parts that are leathery, like instead of furry. So, like throughout history, he's developed like leather instead of fur. And there are things like that on him that I noticed.
When you mentioned when I thought you said he's an angel sheep, I was a little bit disappointed, but I wasn't like going to give up on him. But it turns out even better because it makes him even more.
Yeah, it's kind of like a dire badger angel. The fur thing is distinctly an angelic feature. Like if you developed like strongly angelic features, you would probably like start to develop fur. Like your beard would turn all white and fluffy, you know what I mean, if you suddenly developed angelic features. There's like 4 of those black things here now. Can't go without shirt because those things keep biting me. But they don't bite me enough or often enough for me to start killing them, because that one landed on the door there, and if it was like a mosquito that did that, I'd probably kill it. sad that the second season of the Goddess thing isn't available online. You have to purchase it or pirate it from someplace. It's sad that it's not available online. The first season is. We have 2 episodes left and it's over.
All the images you sent me, I didn't understand all of them, but they all made sense. There was like a woman's face, and I'm like, I don't know how it applies, but
yeah,
but they all were familiar things.
Yeah.
And he's taught me a couple jokes.
Yeah.
Oh, and last night I got some nightmares, so I don't know if I...
Yeah, we've been getting a lot of nightmares, both of us, evidently, because
This,
of this work.
this guy gonna cut a kid's head off with lightsabers.
Yeah.
And then another guy took a string and was like cutting into his face and slicing it open, and it was...
Yeah.
Oh! It was nasty. It was in slow motion.
Yeah. We're definitely getting negative readings because of the work, but it's funny.
They're not outright scary. They're just creepy.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like it's the kind of, well, doesn't seem like it's the kind of truly negative thing, but it is a little shocking.
Not enough to wake me up, just enough to be like a little bit unsettling.
Yeah, I woke up from that one dream when that guy was hunting with me with the automatic nail gun. When I got to the part where I talked to the Santa Claus of that homeless shelter thing, you know, as soon as I got the note to him and I was like, I get medical help, I woke up.
It ended good though.
Yeah, but very, very worrisome. Yeah, I gotta remember that it ended well, that my higher self or dream self got me out of trouble. That it didn't, like, continue in trouble. We need to order a new package of the CBD thing while we're gone, and I need to pick it up from the mailbox.
Do you want to walk to the mailbox tomorrow?
Yeah, let's do that. Probably gonna go to bed fairly soon, but not like in the next few hours, like, just to be ready for tomorrow. Your mother asked me not to smoke anything in the morning when I wake up, like, so that I'm ready for work.
Yeah.
I can do that. Thank you for mentioning that somebody else is also, like, recommended to take me as a visitor if it's possible. That's very nice of you. Thank you for that. I wonder if anybody picks up on the offer.
You said this Anthro made a friend with a demon, a lust demon,
yeah,
which I thought was interesting.
Yeah, Slanesian lust demon, quite clearly.
Not a high-ranking demon, I'm sure.
Yeah, just like one of their random people.
Is he consciously in communication with it?
They've since then had something of a little falling out, but they're still friends. They don't like talk as much because he's trying to find some sort of distance from Slanesh. He made like a strong push on his world, and he's like, I don't want that guy around me, but the demons are nice, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But because the demons are also the god, he's kind of like having a period of off with him. But in our time, they managed to be friends for something like 2-3 days before it happened.
Yeah.
And that really points to some kind of understanding of how fast time goes for them. Time seems to go at something like 4 times, 3 times, 5 times the rate it goes for us. So when they switched their industry, they had like a week to work at it, which seems more logical.
Yeah.
They took out like pollution filters and changed some of their power plants to burn trash and stuff like that.
Has it been more than 4 or 5 days since I found out about him?
It's been like 3 days. Can you put this in the trash?
I don't know if I'm moving too fast, but it's like he's been waiting like a month.
Yeah, it seems like he's been living with your relationship for 2-3 weeks. It's so slowly starting to get to the point where the pure sexual attraction is possibly not enough, and both sides have to start figuring out things like same TV shows and so on.
Yeah.
I heard the store clerk, when you were paying for that milk, say, hi, I see you now. And you responding with, yeah, I'm bi. I was like, nice.
I'm bi?
Yeah, you responded with your bi, and that was really weird.
I'm not bi though.
Yeah, but you said that you're open to the idea of like possibly having a female at some point. And that immediately translated into your higher self, like telling the woman that you're bi instead of gay, and that was like, I was like, nice, even though I have like no strong feelings on the topic, you know what I mean? Getting a good spiritual message and seeing like how you progress to others. It's like I'm listening to your higher self talk when I'm not like close to you, but it happens a lot with me when I'm not like very physically close to somebody. When I talk to them, I almost always hear their higher self instead of their body. It's like a constant conversation, and I hear weird things. It's interesting.
Wait, when she said I'm here?
She said, I see you now.
Was that the anther talking or not?
That was clearly a human female.
Oh.
With like the human females noting that you're no longer completely and absolutely hidden from them. Like, I see you now.
Oh, okay.
And you going like, I'm bi. And like in the sense that, you know, you can work towards me, but I guarantee you it's going to go bad for you. You know what I mean? Like in that sense. You know, it was like weird. Sounded
it's not like Sauron that says, I see you.
Yeah. Slaanesh saying, I see you now. I accept your giant dink as an androgynous form. You
said Slaanesh made that beautiful dancer, like Dance Forever.
Yeah, that was one of the curses that she gave. It was her main dancer, and she was trying to cheer him up after something, and she was like, and he was like completely uncheerable, and he became so angry with the dance that she cursed her to dance forever. And now she's known as, I think, the Mask of Slaanesh is what it's called. Not like mask with like M-A-S-K, like mask with M-A-S-Q-U-E, I think.
Oh.
I think the same word as menagerie. Menagerie, I think is the same word. Have you been able to reduce your debt and have a better credit rating?
Well, I'm settling my debt.
Yeah.
So I'm going through a company, so they'll settle what I owe for like 40% of what I owe.
Yeah, but you said at like some point that you're paying $200 a month to some kind of debt thing.
Oh, that's like $366 a month.
Yeah,
but but I was paying $500 a month.
Yeah.
And to my credit cards and stuff before.
Yeah,
so I'm paying less, and I'm settling it in 4 years.
Yeah, so you're getting like a better deal.
Yeah.
So have you been able to do that?
Yeah.
Okay, that's good. We haven't been maxing out your credit, you know.
I just gotta hope that I can continue on disability after April of next year.
I hope so too. If not, you may have to find some new job, but I really don't think you're possibly equipped to have a job at the moment. We'll see. Time will tell.
Yeah.
Sooner or later, time always tells. Red Alert 1. Albert Einstein, when they go back in time and assassinate Hitler, and the Soviet Union becomes super powerful and invades Europe. Sooner or later, time always tells.
Instead of assassinating Hitler, get him successful in art.
Yeah, that's a better choice.
Yeah, and he would have been a good artist.
Yeah, I've seen some of his paintings. He would definitely have been a good artist. But the reality is that Germany in the 20s, if he'd made sexual art, he would have easily gotten into college. But he made buildings and like do architecture and such, and that was very bad for him. Germany in the 20s was a very, 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 and I say this in a bad way, homosexual society. It was like depraved in a very bad way. And
like the ancient Romans and stuff having.
Yeah, much worse. They were literally, they had bars that had like young children outside of it selling sex openly. They had like very weird, very bad things happen in their society. Even I would be offended by that.
Yeah.
They had like very bad things happen. That's one of the reasons when the Nazis came in power, they got such a huge amount of votes, because the situation in the 20s was completely unbearable. It was completely rotten to the core.
Everybody has a parallel self that is like Hitler.
Huh?
Everybody has a parallel self of them that is like Hitler.
Yeah.
So nobody is truly innocent.
Yeah, we all do the same things, and if we were placed in the same position, we would become Hitler. That's the human soul.
Yeah.
You know, he isn't individually responsible for what he did. It's the whole humanity, and that's basically why we still accept like essentially paying reparations to the Jews, because it was like a communal crime. We still give them something like a beneficial status, but that's hurting the world more than it's helping. So, you know, that's life. Thing came straight from my head, but I ducked.
You're scared of the tiny bugs that don't even.
Yeah.
Like one could crawl on me, and I'd be like, nah, it doesn't matter.
Like,
it doesn't bother me. Yeah, you freaked out when a little tiny bug like crawled towards you.
Yeah.
I don't like the big June bugs that like dive bomb you.
Yeah. I'm from the land of cold. The only animals I ever see are mosquitoes and like hedgehogs. This place is tropical in comparison. This is like going on a Columbus-like, you know, exploration.
It's hot though. Today was so hot. For the first time, I felt like almost vomiting.
Yeah, it was really hot. I should have.
And it wasn't even the hottest day.
It wasn't.
I feel him waking up. He's rested good for a while.
Mm-hmm. I sense the same.
He sleeps for our time about 2 hours.
Yeah. That paints a picture at about 8 hours of sleep. The factor of time acceleration by about 4 seems to hold.
Have you worked with time dilation before?
Not much. It's a fairly new thing for me. That means that when we did the 8 hours of continuous talk about him, he was awake for like a day and a half. That means that
if he has a 24-hour day, I don't know.
Yeah, but he seems to sleep roughly the same time, so same amount. So I would estimate the length of his day is roughly similar.
You mentioned, I don't know if we got this on record, but his sun turns blue sometimes, and his planet goes darker.
Yeah, there's a distinct time when his sun seems blue to me. Like it's some kind of, it's not completely blue, but it does appear blue from like the point of view of the atmosphere and from space. There's distinctly a red or orange total color.
Yeah.
And I don't know what it is. It could be that there's like flare activity, or it goes to a deeper dip in sunspot activity than ours does, or that it gets like a huge amount of sunspots occasionally. But it seems like sunspots are regularly rarer than on our planet. So it might be that when they get them, they get a lot of them, and the sun grows darker, and the atmosphere grows bluer, like when ours goes to the night. And it looks like it could be like evening time blue instead of like midnight dark. and it could be that the sun doesn't actually turn blue, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's possible. It's hard to say because I'm like sensing the sun at the same time I'm sensing the people, because the sun isn't like something that's easily like scannable, you know?
Yeah.
That's kind of what I sense. Though I could be wrong. The sun is fairly easily scannable, but getting like very specific what it looks like across its time from a point of view of somebody observing it is kind of hard, because there's like very few like observation points in like space with our atmosphere looking at them compared to the amount of guys who live on the planet. So it's like kind of like confusing, but you know. Did you put like 4 drinks in the freezer?
Yeah, the fridge.
Yeah, fridge. I think you still have that milkshake in the freezer that's gone bad like a long time ago.
Oh.
I think it's still there.
Your milkshake?
No, yours. Mine I ate already like a long time ago. It turned into like a very creamy ice cream on top with like a very solid ice-like ice cream on the bottom. It was very interesting.
When he was falling asleep, it was pulling me into sleep too.
Yeah.
I was like, it was strong. It was like deep, deep sleep.
Yeah.
That was when we were parked at the bank.
Yeah.
Waiting for my mom.
That's probably the same time when I fell asleep.
Yeah.
Because I slept during the car journey. I had like a good time. I even noticed myself snoring a few times.
Yeah.
Did you notice me snoring?
Yeah.
Yeah. Was it really bad?
No.
Yeah. It was such a tight space sleeping on like 2 of those back seats when the 3rd one had like that thing. But I managed to do it. Saw a flash of light over there, seems like thunder.
If I pull up a video and said, Anthro, play me a song,
Yeah.
would he pick, is it him picking it up that quickly, or?
When you have a good connection and good psychic abilities, yeah, it can be anyone in between when you don't have them.
Like Her, you remember that, where she composed music for him?
Yeah.
That'd be so awesome if he composed music for me.
Still want my AI, damn it.
You would be happy with Her, wouldn't you?
Yeah, I would be happy with a computer that like plays stuff for me. I would go like, look for the porn that most exemplifies you and send it to me, and I would be like, ah, perfect sex. That would be my sexuality. I really wouldn't go for the getting a human to pretend to be her thing. That would be like really absolutely not for me.
Yeah.
I would get like, you know, getting her to like make full realistic looking porn. I would make that instead of like...
Because he drew a picture for him, remember that?
I don't remember that.
The guy stuck in his dick in the person's ear.
I don't remember that.
What if you had or his elbow, an armpit, I mean. Yeah.
Oh yeah, that one.
Yeah.
Now I remember it. What if your genitals were like in your armpit? Ball chin in from Men in Black. Holds his balls in his chin. Ball chin in. That was nice.
Do you remember? Do you watch Saturday Night Live sometimes?
Sometimes, but not often.
Have you seen the Sprockets with Mike Myers?
No.
It's like this German, and now is the time when we dance. And then they showed a video of a guy getting kicked in the nuts, and he was like, ugh. It was funny.
I've seen the SNL clip where he sings about cocaine. That was weird. That was really weird. I think it was SNL.
They say the nerve that in your testicles is connected to your stomach or something, so it produces a vomiting reaction.
Wouldn't be surprised. I don't want to try that though.
I've dinged my nuts between my thighs before sometimes, and that hurts.
Yeah.
Do you think you could build psychic ability enough where I could learn his language?
Yeah. Klingon.
That would be so cool to learn a furry language, Panther language.
Yeah. It's like me trying to learn the language of the goddesses when they do those spells and their voice gets really fast, but me playing it slow, like listening to what they say word by word. That'd be weird. Loki almost fell between the door and the porch thing today. He was like...
It's really sad, yeah.
It was really sad. It was also funny. A little funny.
It was funnier before, but it's getting sadder.
Yeah. It is. A few days ago, he almost fell on his ass climbing up the stairs.
I don't know if that's painful or if he's just got weak legs.
I think that's mostly clumsy, that he's just like, I'm old, I don't want to walk proper, you know what I mean? Like an old guy having like a wheelchair take him everywhere, and then he goes to the store and gets up and pays it, like, you know what I mean? I get that sense. But he's definitely lost weight since we put him on the diet, and that seems to be doing a lot of good for him. He gets up a little faster and happier, and he seems to roam more instead of constantly lying down. He seems to walk around the room more. I would still lose maybe like 5 pounds, and the CBD oil is also probably being good for him, but it's contributing to the falls, but it's making them softer.
You know how I talk to Loki, I'm like baby talking and stuff. When I talk to the Anther like that, he's a little like standoffish.
Yeah.
He's got to get used to that.
Yeah. Or you have to stop it depending on which way you go. It's also possible that it'll be so annoying that you'll go over it.
Oh, yeah.
It's also possible. There's always the possibility of giving up on something that you like for your spouse.
Yeah.
It depends on what you feel like and what he feels like. And did you get the mosquito?
No.
There was one of those black cockroach looking things or orange cockroach looking things on my leg, and I swiped it off. If I was just with the short pants, it would probably bitten me. My skin tastes so good. You like to eat your skin.
His name is like 20 characters long, but it's pronounced like something shorter.
Yeah.
It's like French, you know. You have something a mile long, it's like when you...
Oui. With the UK leaving the Union, we're going to be run by the French and Germans. I really hope they don't go nuts this time. They've had so many huge wars and such. The UK has since had a calming down period. But
So how long is Brexit going to take?
It depends on how fast the UK politicians are able to do it. They basically wanted to hold another election or another vote about it.
Yeah.
But they couldn't get the permission to get it. That it was kind of like against the rules of having like democracy. You can't hold a vote on a specific topic many times. And they were like delaying so that it would be the EU election, and the EU election would show what happened. So the Brexit party got like something like 40% of the votes for the EU thing. The candidates whose only purpose is to like break away from the union. And there were like 5% other conservatives and the liberals, including the guys who wanted to stay in the union, got like 55%. But the Brexit party was huge. It was absolutely massive. And they're going to go with the hugest party, so they're probably still going to lead the union. It's possible that they'll go with 55% voted no, you know what I mean. And it's probably going to take something on the order of half a year to a year from now, probably. I understand them wanting to break off and become part of basically the American culture, but most of EU is probably going to become French. They're going to go with the imperial structure. Like, you know, metric and such.
You know how Chinese language is very symbolic?
Yeah.
His characters are the opposite. They're like, you have to use a lot of them to explain what. So they're very wordy. I think, is that what you get too, or not? Am I reading it wrong?
I get that his first name is 8 letters long, so I could be right, or you know, you could be right in this.
Maybe I was saying more to his name instead of just his first name.
Yeah, I was definitely going for the first name. So we probably got around the same information. I'm getting, depending on how you pronounce his full name, and if you write down the title and such, it's between 25 and 45 letters long.
But they explain their... Do they do like their class and stuff in?
Huh?
They explain like their class or their position and stuff in their name, or?
Yeah, like we have with doctor or like minister. You know what I mean? If he uses his title, which I don't think he would normally use, like delivery man, first class, Philip J. Fry. You know, the way the goddesses do it. Mosquito almost bit me through my sock. We haven't seen those green things in a while.
The leaf things?
And the caterpillar things.
Oh, yeah.
We kept seeing those green caterpillars.
They all evolved to butterflies or whatever.
Yeah, their period went over, I think. Sad, they were very pretty, and whenever they were in a bad spot, I was placing them back on the tree so that they could find food and shelter, develop into butterflies. Go all pretty!
I get a sense they use keyboards, but they may not be the same exact kind of keyboards that we use.
I also get a very strong sense they use keyboards. It seems like it's not individual letters, but kind of like how the Chinese keyboard works, where you type like basic symbols and then a letter appears. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Kind of like that.
you have your tobacco pack out here? Did it blow out back?
Indeed, it blew out.
Was that the empty one?
That's the empty one. Where did it go?
I saw it blow over the railing.
Yeah, it's probably somewhere in the yard. It still had a small amount in it, but it's probably good. I'm feeling a little tired. I'll go get the energy drink. That tea thing was quite, vile. It wasn't very good for me.
The sweet tea?
Yeah, it wasn't very good. Just petting Loki and I felt his stomach, and yeah, he's still got about 5 pounds to lose. They're still affecting his mobility and health. I've been giving him 2 droplets of the CBD oil, and I think I want to switch over to 1. It seems like he's a little medicated.
Oh, okay.
He seems to be a little heavy on the medication. Right
well,
now.
it's an extra strength. CBD is really strong.
Yeah, and he's an animal, so we have to be careful with the dosages. But I want to switch over to 1. He seems a little medicated, like a little...
He didn't come up and come over to you?
No, he was lying on the floor. When I opened the door, he looked at me, and I walked over and petted him from both sides, and then put my hands under him and kind of slowly tried to lift him, little bouncy movements. And I could tell that he still has about 5 pounds to lose. About. I've been giving him something along the lines of half to 2/3 or 3/4 cup, and putting some salami on it. That's roughly what I've been giving him. When it looks too empty, I'll refill it, but I've been giving him about that much. He seems content. He's been losing weight at a good rate. It hasn't been too fast.
Yeah.
I was worried that I may give him a bit too little and he'll lose it too fast, but he seems happy with it. He seems happy with it. Oh, the weed bag almost flew away. This could stand to be colder, but it's still fairly cold. It wasn't in the freezer for long. We should have bought the tray thing and ask her to take 8 drinks out and replace them with cold drinks. Maybe 2 drinks out, Ask for that, that would be better.
Well, they'll get cold before you get to them.
Yeah.
This one, you gotta get through it.
Yeah, we could have both gotten 1 cold drink. That would have been a little better, but one does not always think of all options. One need not feel hard about that.
I keep seeing him as a cartoon. I can't see him as a real.
I wouldn't worry about that. For now, his image in your head is most likely a cartoon because it's very unreal to you in a way. I'd imagine that to be the case, and it still feels like he's a cartoon. You could hire an artist to do an image based on the description and as real as it looks like from a cartoon and throw.
Yeah.
And have different public attributes, like what you you want to put in him. Like, is he wearing clothes? Does his butt show, and so on. I wouldn't put anything too dirty in the primary picture and possibly have him wearing shorts or something.
I don't want to draw him like naked with no genitalia, do I?
No, I wouldn't do that.
I know a good artist that could draw it hyper real.
Yeah, you might want to make a hyper real version of him.
It would cost me about $700, which I think is good for a hyper real.
Yeah, especially if it's a high quality and I like a large picture. It's still pretty heavy, but it's acceptable. Probably a medical helicopter. Felt like a military one, but with like a medical thing.
Have you had hyper real dreams?
Yeah, many times. I often dream in the form of same realism as I live in, but with like abilities like flight.
Yeah.
It doesn't look cartoony to me very often. It's very rare for me to get a cartoony looking dream.
I've had several anthro dreams and they're all real looking. They don't look cartoony at all.
Yeah.
One of them gave me a fist bump and that was so cool.
Nice.
And then I saw a bunch of them dancing on a stage, and the lights were ultra real.
Okay.
The lighting. You brought your tea, even though you don't like it.
Yeah, I filled the barn with it. A ladybug just flew on me.
They have pencils that are not graphite, but kind of a clay.
Yeah.
A hard clay.
You're picking up good information about their society as well.
Because I see him holding a pencil. And
yeah.
When I pick up him doing something, it may not be a real time. It may be something he did or...
Mm-hmm. That's the nature of time travel and psychic messages. There's a moth on me. Move away. Don't get on my face, little one. Come on, don't get on my face. No white icky stuff on my face, please.
I'm glad I'm able to tune in and not have to rely on you so much.
Yeah, that's very good. That's the intention of all spiritual practices, that you don't have to rely on the master. Like with martial arts, you first learn a method and then that method is broken. You know, and you make your own method.
Oh, yeah.
That's like martial arts. You first learn a method and then you break the method.
To get a black belt, do you have to develop your own style?
Black belt in ninjutsu is basically you fighting others and then you being graded.
Oh.
5 black belts is somebody standing behind you with a real blade, and they suddenly try to strike you, and you have to roll away at exactly the right time, or you'll be hit in the head with a katana. That's the 5 Dan exercise. It seems a little silly to me to risk somebody's life like that.
I heard. I don't know if it's true, but there was a black belt who killed a bull.
I have no idea. Like, did what? Kicked it in the head?
I don't
or
know.
something?
In the throat.
In the astral, the number of black belts you have is the number of people you've killed. It's very clearly signified that in the astral terms, having a black belt is the same as killing someone.
Even in your game?
Everywhere I've ever seen, it's the same. Like, you have a black belt when you have your first kill, you know. That's very, very clearly shown in like every situation with the martial arts in like astral I've ever seen.
But when you do your military videos, you don't carry a gun.
No.
So you've never killed anybody in your military training? Or
no, as far as I know of, I've never killed anybody, but it is possible there are a few murky situations where people died at interesting times, is what I'd call it. And I'm very unhappy if I've killed someone. I'm like, it's the worst thing you can do. It's like literally the worst thing you can do. There's an element of proudness in it that I can tell that I quite dislike. I do like a part of it, but I do still strongly dislike it.
I asked Raw. I was so out of it once. I asked Raw to kill me, and they showed me the sun.
Yeah.
I was in the sun.
Yeah.
And I was in it for, I don't know, but because I left work to come out to my truck for a little bit, and after it was over, work was already done. So I was out there for hours.
Yeah. In the military things, I don't carry a gun or have like the ability to fire. I have occasionally been given a handgun on the occasion that like the unit is about to fall, and they're like, take this, you can shoot yourself if you don't want to be captured, but just take this, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I haven't fired it, and I carry things like medicines, food, water, similar things for the other people, and on occasion I have carried ammo, but I very dislike it. I don't like the idea. And I mostly carry like media equipment, but I don't, for example, have a camera with me. I have my head camera when I do it. I don't like having like a camera on me. It feels like you are the most dangerous person to your unit because you have the camera. It feels like.
When you put my Anthro in situations, he's really excelled.
Yeah.
But in art, he's not good.
Yeah.
I'm a better artist than he is.
Yeah, I do get that sense.
But he tries, but they're really based. They're not stick figures, but they're like circles with the yellow in them, and
yeah, reminds me of how good a drawer I am.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, reminds me of that. But I'm fairly good with 3D art when I have to do like modeling and such. But I'm like very basic when it comes to pen and paper.
You know how we have furry conventions for furries get together and they celebrate art and stuff?
Yeah.
I get that they don't have like human conventions like we have furry conventions.
They have held them. I do get that sense.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I do get the sense that they've held them occasionally, but it's nowhere as popular or like all over the world as ours is. It's like basically not every country has a furry convention, but every geographic region certainly has one every few years. And I get the sense that the entire planet has held like 5 of them at most. That even seems like a high number. I'm thinking 2 or 3.
Yeah.
And it seems like it wasn't a popular thing. It's more a scientific thing for them. It seems like the scientific literature does have a fair bit of reference to different species and such.
Because they're more independent.
Yeah, it seems like
they don't see themselves as identifying with a human, as a human. Like I identify as a wolf or something. Yeah. You know, they don't identify as a human.
Yeah, and they don't like that sort of like public display of affection, like an orgy kind of thing. It's kind of against their like nature, I kind of sense. They do have like lesser number of conventions overall as well about most topics, but like the total number is larger, but the conventions they do have are like food conventions or something like that, and there's a lot of them like everywhere. I do get that their scientific literature has a lot of references to aliens and like other civilizations they're in contact with and humans.
Do they use the same kind of writing, the simple symbols? Or can you see their writing?
It does appear like Chinese symbols to me.
Oh.
With more straight lines instead of curvy lines, and like it seems like Chinese symbols to me.
Oh.
You got something very similar with very simplistic symbols instead of like what we would call like his name being 3 very complex symbols or something.
Do you ever chit chat with another psychic trying to figure this out? Like, what do you sense? I sense this.
Yeah.
What do you sense?
Yeah, we do that, and especially when I was doing my early training part, I had a group of 2 other healers with me.
Yeah.
And we had like a triumvirate, if you would call it that. And we talked for a very long time. We're only now the 2 of us scratching the surface of the level of talks we had.
Oh.
But we're getting there. We had like very long, very in-depth talks of spiritual topics, and we figured out things like the universe turning into strands of matter before it turns into stars, before the scientists did. We talked about that quite openly and realized that that's the only way it could happen. And then, like, sometime afterwards, the scientists published a model of the universe turning into strands, then into galaxies. You know what I mean?
The Linnaeus cluster?
Yeah, things like that.
It looks like strands.
Yeah. The individual strands becoming stars as the matter compresses. But initially there was just a ball of like almost uniform gas that expanded and formed into strands, and then the center points of those strands become the brightest first stars. Their centers the first black holes, and then they become the first galaxies.
Is your psychic ability now the best it's ever been?
It's probably pretty close. When I was a very young kid after I got my first initiations, it's probably a little better.
Oh.
I think that if you ever end up doing the initiation on me, then I'll probably have the best psychic ability afterwards that I've ever had, I think. It could be that you have so much clockage in you that when you do it, it's gonna harm me, but I consider that very unlikely. I'm keeping it in mind. To get your healing to like completely stabilize, you need to do, or at least really should do, at least a couple of healings on a test patient, and we're probably going to use me.
Yeah.
And probably at least 1 initiation on me, so you can do it on others as well. The initiation model is very simple, like I explained in the topic.
Do I got to do everything you did to me?
Yeah.
Oh.
And then when you like start teaching others, you can remove certain parts or add certain parts as ever you feel like. For example, if you do like Reiki does a tiered system where you don't teach everything like at the beginning, you can like cut out the 3 lowest chakras on the first initiation, and then on the second initiation do all of them but not connect the feet to the ground or something like that. It depends on how you feel like doing it. It's completely up to you. And you can add parts to it, and like if you feel like ritualized music or bells or whistles, or you know what I mean. If any of those are necessary, then you can add them very easily once you get like the model.
When you said bell, I see him with a bell, so they had bells too.
Yeah, when I did the initiation, I should have had a bell, because a good bell, when it does the ringing sound and goes back and forth, when it's like done the initial ding, when it goes like
a resonance,
when it does that at the end of it,
yeah,
that's very like tuning for the field.
Those are the singing bowls.
Yeah. It's very tuning for the field when it does that. When you like knock a bell and it goes like cling.
Yeah.
The one where it does like the same sound back and forth like 20 times. That's very tuning for the field. That was recommended for me to use my initiations, but we didn't get that. But we did the computer chiming in, which was very good.
Yeah.
The computer chimed in the moment we stopped the meditation, and I said to you, like, you can open your eyes and start looking around now. You opened your eyes and looked around for like less than 2 seconds, and then the computer like randomly for no apparent reason said a ding, and no other sound. That was really weird.
And you didn't say Alexa.
No, I said nothing even remotely like it. And the OK Google has started playing things like radio songs without me even talking to it, like saying things like, that radio station is not available, but you can try this, when I'm thinking of talking to my higher self. You know, weird things.
That's interesting. You said his name. You said his name is like Alex.
I get a sense
And
of
my system is like Alexa.
Yeah, I get a sense of that. That's a very good observation, by the way.
Aren't you glad I'm not like a kid, like waking you up, say, where did you be now?
Yeah. Going like as soon as you wake up, and I've had like 3 hours of sleep. We need to do another channeling. I feel so alone. That'd be really annoying. But you've been like helpfully open the entire time, like almost the entire time that you've been like helping me ground and so on. It took us like 2 or 3 days to adjust to each other's energies. The first impression when I got on the airport and saw you was like you're very hard. Was like that was the first impression.
I was a Nurgle, wasn't I?
Huh?
I was like Nurgle or whatever.
Yeah, a hard Nurgle is what I'd call you. But you like basically adapted to me very quickly, and the energy tentacles and conduits worked very well very early. It didn't take a lot of effort for I think either one of us.
So nothing's really impossible.
Yeah.
There was this. Oh, you remember? Alice in Wonderland. He's like, I do 5 impossible things before breakfast.
Yeah.
or however many.
We're doing.
That's saying Slanesh's death. That was an impossible thing.
That was an impossible thing. I'm almost willing to call.
Did the writers like write it in, and then when they produced it, and
no, it's clearly some kind of interference from some kind of radio source. I would call the sun.
Oh.
Like most likely the sun just literally like informing us of its opinion and just interfering with the radio, because the sun seems to be like very concerned that Slanesh is dead, like in a literal sense. I get that sense from it. But that for us it really isn't. But for the sun it could very well be, because it's a giant black hole.
Yeah.
You know, for the sun it could very well be death. But for us it's probably not death. But
I saw it as saying you don't have to worry, Slanesh is not gonna.
Yeah. That it's
not gonna just
come for you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Warp entities, the gods of warp, like almost without fault do not come for individuals. There are like 5 reported cases throughout the entire history of the Imperium of Man where the Chaos Gods themselves come after someone. And like almost all of those are at the start of the Horus Heresy, where they corrupt one of those warlords and cause him to do a crusade on Earth. And that's basically the only time. Every other time it's their disciples or demons that cause the havoc. And if you actually pray for one of those Chaos Gods to take the demon away, or just go like, you take this demon away or I attack you, they almost certainly do so. They're very angelic in their like behavior, but you have to understand that they're very strong emotions. Like if you literally ask Korn to take you over, don't be surprised if you just ran into the street with like a hatchet in your hand. You know, they're that strong. Or if you like literally worship Slanesh for a while like I did, don't be like surprised if you're masturbating 10 times a day and that's not enough for you. You know what I mean? Weird things like that will happen.
When I was talking to him about stuff,
10.
When I was talking to him, stuff that embarrassed him a little bit, it was a little taboo to him. I asked him, then he became okay with that, and I'm like, did you learn that from Slanesh? And he's like, no, I was kind of hiding it before.
Yeah.
He didn't.
He's learned a few things from Slanesh, but he's hesitant to give him credit, and wants to give credit basically to the process of learning itself instead of an individual. And he's kind of hesitant to let Slanesh into his field or his planet anymore, because he did a lot of very weird things. But they do have a contact with Slanesh, and he does have a contact with Slanesh in a way. But he is kind of like pushing it off, and he does have a contact with that demonette, which we call a succubus, a demonette of Slanesh. In this context, he does have a contact with like a demonette, but he's more like friends with him. When I talked with him like about it now, he was like, yeah, you're right, I missed her very much, you know, when he did like disconnect from the energies. And he really feels Slanesh and those demons as a strong sense of yearning for something, that it's like a child yearning for consciousness, you know what I mean?
Yeah, okay.
That the spirit can actually at some point like evolve into like what he'd consider a good spirit, but that he doesn't want to like involve himself too much in the process. It feels like a very strong pull.
Yeah.
But he's definitely not afraid of the chaos gods. He's a little afraid of Corn, because for him, his species, like the hunting instinct, is like very strong, so he doesn't want to associate with that one much, because that would like give too much power to his hunting sense. But when I'm talking with him about it, he like pulled his energy into his field, and I could see his face very clearly, like a anthro-like face with like, you know, I saw his face with like a snarl on it, like a showing his teeth and so on, when he did the Corn thing, and he realized that Corn's energy is for him very useful to develop psychic abilities that he can't deny. He can't deny like completely the usefulness of any of the chaos gods. He's like a very interesting and good system.
But he can do this responsibly.
Yeah, seems like an adult in that case. Most adults can like think of the chaos gods like they can think of emotions responsibly, you know?
Yeah.
They don't like go nuts for it. In the Warhammer mythos, I would have to say Satan is probably a keeper of secrets for Change. If I just had to guess. Change.
Oh, Change.
Yeah, that's the name of the chaos god of change and like
of
flying
plots
and schemes and so on.
Schemes, yeah.
Yeah, he's probably a keeper of secrets, one of those bird-headed like god figures for Change instead of.
So if you follow Change, you'll see a conspiracy and everything.
Yeah, like a lot of the conspiracy people have like a very cold, very mathematical, very artificial language when they talk. When for example your mother listens to those conspiracy things on TV, you notice that they have a very machine-like voice, like a very cold machine-like voice. That is distinctly Change. And when you think of them like in the astral and start talking to them, they immediately blame you for something, like some kind of conspiracy. And if you like I've done like tens or even hundreds of times now when I've listened to your mother, and I've done this with your mother as well, when I prove the conspiracy wrong, that it can't be true, because like for example, the conspiracy that the Rothschilds are all moneyful and evil, and I'm clearly a Rothschild because I'm like one of the world government dark side rich people, you know what I mean? And I'm dirt poor, you know, literally dirt poor. And I go like, no, they're not all rich, look at my life. They admit it, change the sense of the conspiracy, and immediately blame me again. That's very clearly changed, like very clearly.
Is Slanesh like the most likable one, or none of them are likable? I
wouldn't call them likable, any of them, but if you have to go into chaos, like there's literally a push for you to have to go there, and you have to pick a chaos god. If that ever happens to you, Slanesh is probably the best one.
Probably the most fun.
Yeah, but you want to keep a distance from him. Slanesh is basically the only god that's mortal to humans just being looked at. When you look at Slanesh, when you actually see his true form, it's so beautiful that you will die. You know, your mind will not be able to accept it, and you will die at the instant you look at him. The other chaos gods can actually be looked at. Like Corn's throne, if you start looking at him, you see Corn first because he's on the top of the throne, and he starts walking towards you, but he, like, according to the mythos, never gets to you. He just starts walking.
You said it's more dangerous to smell something than to look at it.
It's possible that it's more dangerous, but I don't know. It feels like when you look at something, you get the energy completely passively. You just receive the light of this thing you're looking at. But when you smell something, there are individual particles in the air, pheromones, and that feels like you're letting somebody physical into your brain instead of...
Wait, so when I smell this anthro, how are his particles here?
That's a good question. I would estimate that the pheromones of everyone are everywhere, and it's kind of like without form, but when you actually smell it, there's a distinct form. But on the other hand, you can smell things that don't have pheromones, like that don't have individual particles, like electricity. You know, you can smell like what electricity smells like. So I don't know. It's a hard thing. In the case of our communication with him, there's quite clearly a lot of technical applications in between, like Federation technology, quarantine, all kinds of weird things. And it's possible, due to the nature of how we're doing this, that somebody is artificially producing the pheromones for you to smell. It's possible, but honest to God, I don't know. I just get the sense like that it's more dangerous. And in your case, you might actually be developing your third eye when you think you're developing your sense of smell. That you may be developing a total field ability to pick up energy that like transmits itself as a sense of smell. Though it might be healthy for you, South Flash again.
I haven't been practicing psychic smelling like 3 hours a day like I used to. I practice about an hour a day now with him.
Yeah. But if you had to pick between the 5 Chaos Gods and the Emperor of Man, the 4 Gods of Chaos and the Emperor of Man, the 5 guys, I would probably recommend Slaanesh more than I would recommend the God Emperor. But that's like a huge, treason for me. But I would still probably recommend Slaanesh more than I would recommend the God Emperor. The God Emperor is very, very inclined to kill all other forms of intelligent life than humans. And that's like a bad desire. But, every other form of intelligent life is a threat to humanity and it has to be eliminated. That's like the God Emperor's desire. And to convert humans all into psychic beings that can overtake the board and become like gods on their own. And, it's like some of his desires are very positive and some of them are very negative from our understanding. And from what I know of them, I would probably recommend Slaanesh, but to keep a distance from his physical form and go like, keep that thing distant from me. But, it's a lust demon, so basically he'll stuck that thing in your face when you ask him to keep it distant from you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But the more you serve and the more useful you become to the Chaos Gods, the more they help you until you eventually become a demon prince. And then you become powerful enough to become your own Chaos God. So their desire is also to make more gods instead of less gods in some ways. But they still want there to be like based on the fact that they war with each other constantly, they seem desirous of there being a single Chaos God. But it could be that they're just training each other for like the universe and they want there to be more gods. It's possible. Hard to say. Hard to say. I sometimes feel like, because there were 4 of us when I was a kid, my mother, my father, my brother and me, that we're the 4 gods of chaos and it's like a reflection on our life. Have you ever read this book called Ars Magica?
No.
It's a very good book about magic. They have like different types of magic, and the one I would recommend is the one about fairies.
Yeah.
It's a very good book. It's like full of like actual spells that work, and it's written for like a magic school that existed in the 13th century, like that level of thinking just before Christianity took over the last hermitages. And it's like the last type of alchemical book that you'll find in Europe. It's basically written for that mindset, so it's like,
When you do magic, are you calling on the logos? And that's what does it?
That too, but it has to be done by you, and you like need to have other spirits as well work for you. Need is a strong word, but most people don't use the logos alone when they're magicians. That's for clerics or like healing people, you know what I mean?
Oh.
Cleric. It used to be the word for healer, cleric.
Yeah.
And most of those have a god they worship, and some of them worship like God undivided. But getting the attention of basically God undivided or intelligent infinity in a religious way is very difficult, while magicians use the basically intelligent infinity to force it to do things of their own volition. So it depends on what kind of a magician you are.
If you're not balanced, intelligent, and affinity will warp your mind, won't it?
Oh yeah. It's like throwing yourself into warp. You'll become a demon very, very, very quickly. That's like That's why psychics in the Imperium of Man are always found out as quick as possible and put into official training programs. Because rogue psychics have a tendency to call warp to their world and cause it to be attacked by demons, and it's very dangerous. And I agree that that's probably what we ought to do in some regards. Get like the best healers together and stick them in a room and go like, please don't influence the planet, that's very bad for you.
Am I influencing the planet by bringing him here?
Yeah, you're definitely calling the war, but you have to understand that we're not an imperial planet.
Oh.
If we were a planet in the Imperium of Man, there would be things like an absolute ban on religion. The closest the Imperium of Man has gotten to influencing us is when the Nazis and the Communists were in power. Everybody else is basically Dark Eldar, you know, basically. Want an intelligent, eternal life without, like, work, toil, or hardship, you know, that's basically a Dark Eldar.
Wait, is the warp a region of space, or is the warp here too?
The warp is the subconscious of space.
Oh.
It's like what we would call the 0-point field. It's ether. And the warp itself has no other attributes than echoing your emotions. When you get strong emotions, you create something that echoes it back to you, which starts as a mirror, and eventually it becomes a large collection of light because the mirrors keep reflecting it, and then the mirrors fall away and it becomes just a ball of light, and then that's like a god, you know?
When it reflects it back, is it amplified?
It depends, but usually it's amplified and distorted and gives you like some new understanding into yourself. That's why working with the warp is so hypnotic. When you you constantly get good new information about yourself that you can very easily like integrate. But at the same time, you start to build like, from the things you can't integrate, you start to build like literal demons, and they eventually start to attack you and try to corrupt you and get you to like summon the chaos gods to your world and have a warp storm breach. The largest breach I've seen in the warp storm was the same color basically as the Eye of Terror, but a little more purple. I saw a purple pink spinning black hole in the atmosphere that you could literally touch. It was maybe 15,000 meters up, and it was maybe the size of like New York, the city of New York, the very center of it,
yeah,
like Manhattan. So it was clearly visible as a large spinning disk, but when you reached your hand towards it, you could feel it like in the air very easily. So you could feel that it was also like very next to you as it was distant there, and that's like a basic hallmark of warp. That was after I did a very long and very intensive effort to contact the chaos gods and everything evil. I was going through like a period, and I did a very long, very intensive work, and I saw very many interesting things.
I'm very fortunate because before I met this anthro, I actually called an incubus.
Huh?
I wanted one, but I didn't attract one, so yeah. I'm very fortunate.
Your incubus is probably the succubus that the anthro befriended. I get the sense that they're in the same group. It's probably not the same person, but now that I mentioned it, the succubus probably knows the incubus. That's a very strong sense I got, that they're talking with the incubus that you started to summon, and there's like a small plant of plots growing in him, you know, the incubus, and
yeah,
like I will put these things in motion, and in like 15 years he'll, you know, come to me, you know what I mean, that kind of plant. And the anthro and the lust demon are pulling the plant out of the ground and going like, nope.
Yeah.
And I get the sense that the lust demon's polarity is reduced when she does that, when she helps like the anthro do these things. But she's willing to do it, and, you know, willing to lose polarity at the same. I'm willing to lose positive polarity to do my thing, and I'm willing to lose negative polarity to give things for free and so on. So she's doing work, you know what I mean? I get that sense.
You still think when you die you'll end up in Slaanesh?
If I die right now suddenly without like any kind of new connections in me, I'll probably end up Slaanesh. Because I want to be close to humanity. I want to be a black hole. I'm like 95% sure that I want to be a black hole in the next life, or like fairly closely.
Yeah.
Like a fairly new life. I spoke in Finnish there for a moment accidentally. Like in a fairly next life, and even as we evolve our technology in this life, if it's possible to do it without, in a way that I would consider losing the soul. For example, the Federation transporter, in my opinion, loses the soul, or is at least in danger of that. I would be very hesitant to use it. But if it's possible to do it without losing the soul, most people talk in terms of uploading your mind, making a copy of your mind entirely, and then killing your body and treating that thing like it's your mind and your soul, when it's completely not your mind and your soul.
Yeah.
But if it's possible to do it without losing your soul, I will probably evolve into a black hole in this lifetime, because I just find that to be a very peaceful existence. You get everybody in your life that you ever wanted, and they all live eternally. You know, that's like the starting point. Then you slowly compete to become a better god, and you either become a better god, or you learn like to accept a better god without losing any of your individual attributes. You only lose like the gunk of your things when you like become a stronger black hole. And then at the end of it, you merge with God, you know, without any kind of troubles, and everybody's like you. You know what I mean? An end life. I kind of feel like I want to evolve towards that in my physical life and see what happens.
Some of this knowledge can be dangerous.
Yeah, we've covered a lot of topics.
When you bring certain things up, I feel a sudden connection to something.
Mm-hmm. Have you heard of the theory I talked about earlier, that the Sagittarius A black hole is afraid of the Andromeda black hole? He's afraid of becoming a part of another creation and just losing himself. And the Sagittarius A black hole is basically generating life to transport energy to it, so that it becomes a larger black hole than the Andromeda black hole. And when they merge, the Sagittarius black hole comes out on top. Have you heard of that?
No, but didn't the raw materials say that most of the logos is not manifest?
Yeah, it's dark matter and dark energy in current understanding. I mean, quite clearly that's what they're talking about. I get the sense, at least. The Anthro is very clearly explaining that he doesn't know or didn't know about the gods of chaos, or the Eye of Terror, the warp storm, the central warp storm where they live. He didn't know about that before he talked with us. But he knows the general architecture of our entire galaxy, so it's not in our physical reality. So he has to pull it from an alternate reality when he likes to communicate with them, or that goes through the communication process. And it's quite clear that our galaxy is almost empty of that type of life, but that we can, as we advance, slowly start to drag it towards us, you know, as options become available to us. It's not in our universe, I think, or our galaxy, I think. It's in a parallel Earth.
Are there sentient archetypes that float around?
It's a good question. Most archetypes seem to be like reference points for evolution instead of sentient beings, but in the sense of having like, in the primitive sense of the God Emperor, having like an archetype of humanity, you know what I mean? In that sense, they do float around. It's been very clearly pointed out that where we're existing now, like in our current existence, the God Emperor is already aware that he's already alive. That's been very clearly pointed out. So in the example of, are there like archetypes of humanity, I would say, yeah, there's probably around. One could say that archangels are archetypes as well, you know.
Wait, so this Anthro's their computer technology, is it the computer technology that maps their galaxy?
They probably got a map in trade from one of the other races.
Oh, okay.
I get that sense. He's now wondering about how accurate that map is, and if they got host in trade, and how much the higher beings are hiding from him. And then he made a reference to that possibly being an idea of genes, that he's like getting the plotting nature in his mind. And then I told him that in my experience, the ethereal civilization, which is like what we imagine the primary contacting good guys to be, you know, ethereal, kind of like if you imagine somebody in a white robe with like a pearly white skin and like huge telepathic abilities and the ability to turn into energy and so on, ethereal. I said to him that in my experience, they are huge liars. They have some kind of hidden agenda and they are very dangerous. They're huge liars. And he like verified it and had like a huge short war with them and was like, yeah, they're liars. And was like,
You mean within a few seconds you talking, he already had a war?
Yeah, he had like, I'll inform my military one moment. It was a war, you know what I mean, in that regard. Everybody in their society, because of their like collected hybrid mind, or, you know, the pheromonal network they have, everybody in their society adjusted like, huh! And the elders adjusted like, huh! In the direction of warfare. And both sides like poked each other and it was over, you know?
Did the Anthos win?
They didn't lose their civilization. That much of a winning it was, at least. They seem to be much freer of the ethereal control, and now I can actually smell them fairly well. It smells like free air and musk. Like very free air and musk.
Free air? What do you mean?
Yeah, calm, beautiful air.
Oh,
you know,
okay.
Forest air, free air.
Was my onion soup analogy accurate?
Yeah, but I start to feel like that was his society rotting because of the ethereal like influence there. That's what I'm starting to feel like. Now he's saying that with their thing of a conflict with the ethereals, they're clearly not in like a heavenly hierarchy. So if we really wanted to consider them fallen angels, we could probably consider them that, but it doesn't feel accurate to them. And I'm like, yeah, it doesn't feel accurate. And like fallen angel in the sense of rebelling against the ethereals, which are supposed to be like the highest higher or whatever, but not fallen angel in the sense of being evil. But if I do talk with him and ask like where he exists in the ethereal, like the map of heaven from Inamine, he says that he probably exists either in hell or in the swampland, marshland, and that he feels very strongly that he doesn't want to exist in hell because that has some kind of like worship, but their societal structure is very oriented towards like, you know how dogs have a pack that you like respect the leader. Their society is oriented very much around that, and that like pulls them towards hell because it's a very like hierarchical place instead of like having a god that never like shows up, you know, the boss is not there. And he probably pulls more towards the swampland, but I told him that I don't have a problem with him being in the hellish hierarchy. It's not a problem for me, and it feels like they may like take over a demon prince and then just migrate like up or down the ladder, you know what I mean?
If I landed in hell with him at his level, would I be happy?
You would probably recognize it as the very same astral Anthro society that you're connected to now. It probably wouldn't change anything.
Yeah.
But if you start like, because hell is a huge place and there are very different kinds of hells, if you just start migrating to different places in hell with the intent of like searching, you will probably be miserable because you will find, well, not searching, but like worship perhaps. If you want like to gain power and just like play the game, you will probably be miserable.
You don't exist there forever, do you?
No, I don't think so. I think both sides end you up in higher heaven, and he's like jokingly worried about becoming the archetypal demon contact with an astral path, you know?
Yeah.
Like we talk with him and he turns out to be a demon. He's like, that's not the case, you know what I mean? He's like, yeah. And I'm like, you know, don't really worry about it, but if you feel uncomfortable, do migrate, you know what I mean? Don't just lie down in the fire, just go to the marshland and just find your own civilization there. There are other religions here, and, you know, the God Emperor doesn't punish you always for migrating.
When you're in the marshland, is that like limbo?
Yeah, limbo, marshland. It's Elysium, basically. It's a place completely devoid of the love of God, but there's the light of reason that shines in everything. And the deeper you go, like, the more marshy it becomes, because it's like the undeveloped side of the psyche. And in there are all the other gods except for the gods of Christianity, and, like, you know.
In the Marshland, we could still have love for each other, me and the Anthro.
Very easily. There are stories of ancient gods that have been forgotten by their servants.
Yeah.
And they have loving relationships with one another and start having families and so on. That they basically let go of the god self and start to, like, transfer into the human self. You know, it's a very calm place. It's not evil in any way. I would perhaps even prefer the marshland to being in an angelic hierarchy. It's very hard work.
Yeah.
Like, even being a cupid, it's hard work.
What happens if you're like at God's level, or
you enter high heaven? You become one of the creator spirits. You become the other gods. The God of the Bible never very strictly never denied you the right to worship other gods. He denied you the right to worship other gods while you worship him as well. That's what he denied. And there's a very interesting passage in the Bible that's mostly forgotten that says religious service should be done in the darkest cupboard of your house. It shouldn't be done out open, and you shouldn't do, like, temples and such. That was very clearly said in the Bible, that, like, the highest worshippers go to the darkest cupboard in their own house and pray there.
This Anthro doesn't worship anything, does he?
Not in an active way, but he clearly has an image of God.
Oh.
But he doesn't do, like, worship service.
That's like me.
He's thinking of doing what, like, a very specific worship to their society's good God, because he's been doing a lot of evil things, like contacting Slaanesh and going like, I may need help with this thing, and approaching a priest. And I'm strongly recommending it to him because he feels like he would benefit from it. It would probably make him a little constricted, but he would benefit from it at least for a while.
Yeah.
There's a very minor risk that he'll cease contact as soon as he goes to the priest. He asked me if I want him to record the conversation with the priest the same way I'm recording the conversation right now, because I'm having, like, a live conversation with him. And I'm like, yeah, you can tell me, like, the highlights of it and so on. And the priest is, there's clearly an aspect of time fastening that's right now more than 4 times, but that's very common with spirit contacts. But the general time seems to go 4 times as fast. The priest is very supportive and goes like, that's an aspect of contacting other religions and societies. You start to feel like you're contacting your own dark side. And he's very, like, it's about the shadow self instead of, like, it's a religious evil. And he's very balancing, but like most priests, he's not, like, balancing enough. That he's a little, like, just pray to God, you know what I mean? And that closes him up a little, and he's like, I don't like that, but I do feel a little blessed, and, you know, wants to continue the contact. Like taking a spiritual shower. He's not focused on his lower centers as much right now, and he's, like, at the heart center and, like, floating in, like, you know, lower center contentment. That's when he got the, like, priest to do it. But he misses the lower center energies, and he's gonna return to them, like, you know, eventually. That's what I feel like.
Oh, yeah. Through my contact with him, am I going to be touching on psychosis, but just a little bit and then just backing off?
Yeah, you're already there a little bit.
Yeah.
You're very psychotically excited. You have a manic episode about you, and you'll probably get a depressive episode fairly soon because your mind will get burned out if you don't, like, literally force yourself to take breaks. It's a good idea that we're watching the Goddess show and stuff like that, but you have to, like, literally force yourself to take breaks from spirits. I would even recommend that you get drunk perhaps once in the near future, like while I'm still here, not like falling over drunk, but that you drink while we're here, so that you don't, for example, completely block out that energy. And it's good for burning holes in your brains, that your mind can like rebuild those holes, that it has something else to do other than optimize itself constantly, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You need to do stuff like that fairly soon or you'll have a crash. I would say many people would warn you that you're on the edge or having a psychotic episode now. A lot of the spirit communication stuff is very alarming to doctors, especially for psychotic patients.
Yeah.
But I would say that you're still doing fairly well. I feel like I've talked about Dandy a little more, and I feel like when I saw her wings and every one of those feathers was like a naked young boy or a young man, I feel like those wings existed to connect with my wings of like the cake thing, you know, the lolicon thing, and produce a lot of offspring for the world, like a healthy reproductive cycle, so that it doesn't come from me having babies, but rather comes from me doing like connecting work with people. Like those people are still like in the mist because they don't like exist yet. They're not full-grown adults. They don't have like a specific energy to them, but that we could like connect them at our own pace and form like a unified brain slowly, instead of having like a, when the children die, realizing that you're part of your spouse and you're like, oh God, you know what I mean? I feel like that's something that she was going for, and I like didn't pick up on it, you know. I feel that.
Are archetypes like a railroad track that your mind rides on?
Yeah, kinda. It's like always doing the same thing in the same situation. That's kind of like an archetype. They're kind of like archangels who always do the same service, while angels usually have a word. Like archetypes can become like the word angel of war, which is like Michael, you know, and it's always doing the war response and always reacting with the sword. Michael is like corn in many ways. But I do feel, based on like my family history and doing astral work, that corn is Michael's father, not Michael. And, you know, I feel that. Good response from the spirit.
Are you more happy for me than you're afraid for me?
Yeah, but I am somewhat concerned that you're moving so fast that you may have a psychotic episode. I am somewhat worried about that, but I am happy for you.
The worst that happens is you land in a mental hospital for 2 weeks and then you're out again.
That's not the worst option. The worst option is that you actually succeed in harming someone and don't go to the hospital.
Oh.
That's the worst option. Or that you are harming someone and realize it at the last moment and they stay alive and will be forever afraid of you. You know, that's the worst option. The real danger of hell is losing your mind, to quote What Dreams May Come. There are tortures there, but the real fear is losing your mind. Can you go get the tobacco pouch for me?
Where is it?
I have no idea. It's somewhere in the yard.
The yard?
The yard somewhere here. The one that fell.
Can we get it in when it's daylight?
Okay. Then
I don't want the night bugs to be crawling on me.
Okay, then I need to get it from the inside, or I need to finish this drink. I need a chiropractic girlfriend, a girlfriend who knows everything about chiropractic. Or I need a rich girlfriend who can get me to a chiropractor whenever I feel like it. I need one of those options quite clearly. Otherwise my neck is going to give out at some point and I'm going to be like paralyzed.
You would seek a girlfriend that wasn't Skald?
No, but I need a Skald with that attribute. I have like the archetype of Skald. Yeah. And I'm trying different like trickle events and like trying to get a good sense of like a good version. I've had 3 different Skalds that have almost all the exact same attributes, body language, you know, spiritual presence, voice, all those things are almost all exactly equal. But they all have had different jobs or hobbies or things that they've done in like a noticeably reactive way to the trickle vent. And I'm trying to work up a good trickle vent, so I find the like proper kind of energy fluff that I like, so that I don't get the wrong one. I'm fairly sure that I'm going to aim for Maisie Williams. I was aiming for Emma Watson with my ex-girlfriend, but I don't feel like Watson is my type anymore. I don't feel that. I want somebody who's happier, you know what I mean? Just happy and content with life, and a lot of laughing and giggling. I want that as my next thing. I don't want to be like in a heavy relationship.
If I meet this anthro-human in person, and we're together in person, that'll be less strain on me psychically, won't it? Because I won't be trying to connect to a remote.
Yeah. Oh, sorry. Oh, God. Oof, fragrant. The deluxe hamburger at McDonald's is really weird. I think I kind of like it. I think it's better than a Big Mac, but not as good as Big Tasty or Mac Tasty or whatever, which was still the best hamburger I've had at McDonald's.
Do I seem to have good psychic fortitude, or am I kind of weak?
You do have good fortitude, but you're definitely pushing yourself too much. I'll be right back. Feel free to talk to the reporter while I'm gone.
Yeah. The anthro knows I love him. He likes to make me cry, like love cry. I see part of him and I'm almost crying because I'm so loving it.